Hello and welcome to Cartoon Facial Setup demo for Puppeteer Lounge Cartoon Facial Setup Training Workshop program. So here we have Mr. Chimp who will be featuring in Puppeteer Lounge Cartoon Facial Setup Training Workshop program. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of the rig features for Mr. Chimp. So let's go ahead and turn on the visibility of the primary controllers. So these are the primary controllers. Here we have the neck controller, the global controller. Here we have the head controller, which can be translated. We can rotate it. We also have a secondary head controller, and on top of that, this rig has this global squash and stretch controller. So you can see we can move this upper head controller to give us the squash from the upper head section, and similarly there is a lower head squash controller which gives us the squash and stretch from the lower head. These controllers can be moved in all directions. So on top of the squash and stretch controllers, we do have the bendy controllers, which will give us the ability to bend and rotate different sections of the face. Okay, so this is the topmost bendy controller for the upper head. You can use it for translating, and of course the scale can be scaled in all axes. So here is the other bendy controller for the upper head. So you can see that this bendy controller is going to move the upper section of the head, including the ear and the upper eyes and the brow. And this one is just moving the brow and the upper eyes, just a subtle bit. Okay, together they will give you the bendy feature, which you can use to create stylized exaggeration, get nice arc in character animation, and give you better poses. Same thing for the lower jaw as well. So you can see we have a bendy control for the lower jaw, which can be bended. Front, back, we can also twist it, translate, and of course scale it. And by scale, we can scale it in all directions. So there you have it. We have two bendy controllers for the upper head and two bendy controllers for the lower head. So other than that, we have these controllers for the jaw rotation up and down. We can translate it, also scale it. Same thing for the upper jaw. We can translate, rotate, and scale it. There you have it. And also translate it. Then we have these individual primary controls for the teeth controls that you can use to position the teeth. Just like that. And we have standard FK driven tongue setup for the character's tongue that can be translated, scaled as well. And all of these controls right on top of each other. So you can see I can create these bend features. I can scale it, and I can still go ahead and run the squash and stretch on the entire head. We also have this global mouth controller, which we can use to position the mouth. Okay, up and down. You can move it in any direction you like it. We can rotate it. We can scale in all directions. There you have it. Then we have this chin controller. Similarly, we have the upper lip controller and the lower lip controller, which is going to give us the movement for the upper lip and the lower lip. You can rotate them and also scale it. Okay, same thing goes for the upper lip as well. So you can scale it. You can also rotate it to find a better position. Alright, moving on, we have the cheek controllers. It's going to give us the translational control. So they are acting in a symmetrical way. As you can see, the controllers are mirroring the behavior. We have the cheek puff. If I go ahead and turn it on, if I move it up and down, you can see how the cheek puff is sliding along. Then we have the nose controller. The character has a fairly exaggerated nose, stylized nose, so you can go ahead and scale it, rotate, translate in all directions. Here are the ear controllers, fairly straightforward. These are just the FK driven ear setup, which can be scaled as well, translated. Here we have the eye target controller. And then we have these global parameters, global controls for the eye socket. Alright, so this is pretty much the overview of the primary controls. Let's go ahead and turn on the secondary controls. So here we can see the secondary controls. Let's start with the brows. So here we have the brow controller, the global brow controller, up and down. At the same time, we can also rotate it. And of course, we can scale it as well. Then we have these individual brow controllers. All of these controllers are behaving in a symmetrical manner, as you can see. So that's the brow controller. Moving on, let's take a look at the eye controller. So the eye controller has these upper eye and the lower eye lid controllers. It's going to create the blink. Okay, so we can raise it up for wide open, close it out for eye blinking. And then there is these blink line controllers which we can use to position the blink position. And let me widen up the eyes. So you can see these are the individual controllers for the eyelid that you can use to deform outline for the eyelid. So we can do the same thing for the right side and the left side. Again, all of these controllers are behaving in a symmetrical manner. And then we have these controllers for pupil and cornea dilation. So all of this setup is going to work together with our global controllers as well, so which you can use to scale, translate in all directions. Alright, so that's the eye controls. Moving on, this is the nostril control. So you can see we have individual controls for the nostril. This is the global controller, which is going to allow us to scale. It's quite similar to the one that I showed you earlier, this one, but this is more spread out. Same thing on the right side as well. And then we have these individual secondary controllers, which are going to give us the ability to change the outline of the nostril. And if you move the primary controllers, everything still follows the movement. You can still go ahead and scale them like so. Let me go ahead and quickly pose it around. Moving on to the mouth. So we have these controllers for the expression for the mouth. So you can create smile, frown, bring the mouth in and out like that, acting in combination. So I can quickly go ahead and change the expression of the character, just moving these lip corner controllers. Here we have the cheek controller. Go ahead and bulge that out. So taking a look at the mouth, it features the jipper lip setup, meaning I can go ahead and jip the lip like so. And this is something that I can do from both the left and the right side. So now you have this cool feature where you can move the mouth by closing the entire lip section. So if I go ahead and undo the jipper lip, and then we have these secondary individual controllers for the lips, which is going to give us the ability to sculpt the outline of the lip. And then if you need to fix the position of the teeth, you can always go ahead and use these secondary controllers to scale it up, like really exaggerate the shapes and fill the gap. So if I go ahead and use my global controllers for bendy features, let's bend the upper section as well. There you have it. So I can translate that around. So you can already see the way the exaggeration is going. Alright, looking pretty good. Lip controllers can also be rotated to give you the lip rolling. I can bring it in and bring it out. So all of these controller features that. So we can rotate the individual controls to get the proper silhouette, proper outline for the lips. Alright. Now lastly, the cartoon facial rig needs an essential element, and that's the ability for smearing and distortion. So here we have the smear controls, okay, which is going to give us that ability. So you can see we have 3 individual master control for the smearing, and then we also have these individual smear controls, not just for the entire head, but we have individual smear controls for the brow geometry as well, and brow and the eye section. So you can see I can go ahead and move this to smear and distort this section of the eye. We can also scale it, we can also rotate it, and see how every controller is riding on top of each other, behaving pretty nicely. So this one on the other hand, if I go ahead, you can smear that section as well, like really create the distortion that is needed and is essential for super cartoony animation. And then we have these master smear controls. It's going to give us the ability to smear the upper head. We can scale it. Do the same thing for the midsection. Do the same thing for the lower section. So if you want to exaggerate this even further, you can go ahead and scale it up. You can individually move these components. And again, these controllers, every controller in this setup is based on symmetrical control. Okay, so you can move them individually in symmetrical manner. And still, if I go ahead and use that squash and stretch, there we still have the squash and stretch on this. So here we have a highly stylized facial setup for stylized cartoon facial animation. So I hope you like this demo, and if you are interested and would like to learn to set up Mr. Chimp with these cartoon features, then feel free to take a look into Puppeteer Lounge's cartoon facial setup training workshop. So with that being said, thank you for watching this demo, and I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers!